talking about the insurance, the very least the insurance benefit would be to an employer is about $84.50 over 3 years. That's when the insurance benefit lasts. So $84.50 is the least value to an employer if they use this program, the very least. But it can go up very much higher than that. A typical job, police or fire or construction, the value of the insurance benefit to an employer who uses this program would be about $1,500 to between $1,500 and $3,000. So $3,000, just by giving somebody this piece of paper, you could give them the value of $3,000. That would be nice. You could tell them it could be very valuable to you. If you're dealing with companies, if any of your customers are high risk, high wage jobs like logging, like linemen, electrical repair people, roofers, painters that do commercial jobs, really big jobs that pay well but have high risk, the cost of their insurance is phenomenally high. The value to a logging company who uses this program just for the insurance benefit alone would be $44,000 of value to that employer for hiring one of these workers and using that insurance benefit. Not $84, $44,000, because the cost of their insurance is so high, when you zero it, they would be saving that $44,000. So it can range, it can really range, but at minimum, you could tell somebody, honestly, that you're giving them an $84 value in this free information. But if you see in the brochure, the insurance benefit is only one of the benefits. The next is a powerful cash benefit called wage subsidy that cuts the cost of an employer's labor in half. It subsidizes the wage at 50%. And typically, at a minimum wage, everyone knows what minimum wage in Oregon is now for urban employees. Take a guess.
$14.75.
A little low. $14.75 is a little low. Anyone else? Somebody say 15?
Same.
15? It's actually $15.05 an hour. So minimum wage. So if you give this information to an employer who has workers at minimum wage, the lowest that they could pay, the value of the subsidy to that employer is going to be over $7,800, $7,800 plus to that employer for using this program. So now they got an insurance benefit of between $80 and $44,000. Now, if they use the wage subsidy benefit, they're going to bring in another almost $8,000 of benefit. So that is a tremendous business bottom line, especially for small businesses. Mom and pops, 1 or 2 employees, 10 employees, it can really help you run that type of business. The last benefit I'm going to talk about is the one listed under worksite modification. You see that at the end of the brochure. That's the big dollar ticket benefit to an employer in the tens of thousands of dollars, where the employer could get a grant to get capital equipment, like a backhoe, like a dump trailer, to get special roofing equipment, to get printing equipment. I worked with a company that started up, and we got presses that made all sorts of shirt imprinting, dyeing equipment, all sorts of image transfer technologies, so the worker didn't have to do it manually because he had hand injuries. So this company got tens of thousands, up to $35,000 of capital equipment, things that are going to last 10, 20, 30 years, hardware, that's going to help that business grow and do its work, but also without any interest payments, without any repayment, without any loans. So the company is getting this grant, true grant, that they don't have to pay back to grow their business. And so this can both work in helping you afford employees when you get to that point when you want to hire your first employee. Zeros the cost of insurance, so you can step into that. Cuts the cost of the labor of hiring that person in half. And it could give your company all sorts of equipment. I'm trying to think of a way that the horse camp could use my program. We have built special ergonomic saddles for our injured workers so they could ride, and they're typically out in ranches doing work on horseback out in ranches. And they fell, they got a hip injury, they couldn't sit in a regular saddle anymore. We built ergonomic saddles for them. Or we replaced the horse with an ATV. So if you hired a preferred worker out at your horse facility and they couldn't be on a horse, they just can't climb, or maybe they've lost a leg or something, they can't sit a horse. But if they were on an ATV that we provided, they could get all around, they could follow the horses, they could lead, they could do things. It's possible that even an unusual employer like yourself that has a horse facility could use our program. And almost in every single way that you're here today, that we might be able to find a way to really help you, not just with the insurance, of course with the wages, but also with equipment that would help grow your company. So this is something that could help you when you get to the point of hiring your employee. But also, if you think of it as the coupons again, giving the information to your customer as a benefit to them, to inform them, make them aware of opportunities that they're likely to miss. Like I said, 95% of Oregon employers still don't know about the program. If you find a successful word-of-mouth opportunity, you can refer this coupon, the brochure, to somebody you are helping already. Point out that it's valuable to them. Point out that they could look into it on their own. You don't have to teach them all the things that I've told you today. Just say, call the people on the brochure, our phone number's on the back. They'll explain it to you. But it's definitely starts out not at zero cost, not at zero value. It starts out at least $84.50 minimum. But it's more likely in life. It's going to be much more, thousands of dollars more. So the mission of this program is to help injured workers get back to work. That's why we designed these incentives to be attractive to employers, to be compelling to employers who would use that program and really get a tangible benefit to their business by going out of their way to hire these injured workers. And then when you have your own injured workers, if you bring them back, not just jettison them, but you bring them back, we can really help grow your business, not just once, maybe not twice, but maybe 3 times. It's possible to use these benefits with you, the employer, at injury when you're bringing back your own employee. So it's a way to get all these benefits, not once, twice, but maybe up to 3 times. So it's extraordinary. It's like I said, Oregon has the best program in the nation. No one else compares to us in terms of the resources that we provide to employers.
Yeah, now also something you pointed out, this almost, the way you're presenting this sounds like if someone is injured in my company, they can come back to my company.
Correct.
But your program also allows for people, if they've been injured from somebody else's company and I want to hire them, I can hire them under this program.
Leave it to a numbers guy to be clear thinking. That's exactly right. You can use the program 2 times. Either hiring a new person off the street that you've never met before, who's in the program. So you're hiring in a new employee who's a preferred worker. Or, second way to use the program is when you bring back your own injured worker. So God forbid you ever have an on-the-job injury for your company. Say if Chris ever got hurt and he got into our program, you could bring back Chris and use this program to benefit getting more lift gates on your trucks, getting all sorts of powered hand trucks, all sorts of material handling equipment that would help. So it is 2 opportunities to use the program. Ashley?
Yeah, so if someone has already been through an accident at their work and they're back to work, is there any way for someone to then apply for reimbursement, or an employer to apply for reimbursement after a certain time? Or is this something that someone would just have to keep in mind for now or future?
Well, if you're keeping your own injured worker, your insurance company is going to tell you about us, tell you about this. And so you have 180 days from that claim closure to use to ask to phone in a request. So there's a time frame, but it is possible. The worker's going to get a card and they may come to you and say, I'm in the program now, boss, I'd like to come back to work. What do you have for me? Then you should call. But being smart consumers that you are and hardworking people that you are, taking a few minutes to look into it and not just let it go by. Because there are ways to miss the opportunity. The insurance benefit that we talked about, that workers' comp insurance benefit, employers only have 90 days to make that request. So there's a the trap door there. There's a tricky part. They have to request it within 90 days from hire. So if you wait too long, you can miss that out. Excuse me, Ben.
So, let's say I decided to get back in the gem and jewelry industry, just for the sake of argument. And, a guy wouldn't have to be mobile that much because they could sit at a grinding machine or they could sit with a torch.
Absolutely.
And you guys are gonna pay for all that?
Not all of it, but up to $5,000. Look in your brochure and see if you can spot worksite creation. Third column over, worksite creation. There's a benefit worth $5,000 just
For equipment?
for anything that the employer needs to help create the new job for the injured worker to go into. So $5,000 could be used by Ben to buy the stone cutting tools, the torches, the workbench, the chair, anything he needs to create the job for the worker. There's $5,000 for
But then if
that.
I needed to create a space for that worker?
Sure, you could use it
That
for
would
the
be the
cubes.
35,000?
That would be the $5,000 to create a new space. Modification takes an existing job with existing
Okay.
tools and then adapts it for the injured worker. So my example.
Got it.
The ditch digger who's using a shovel and his company puts underground piping in the ground, so they got big excavators, but they also have people down in the ditch with shovels to get the clods and the little rocks that roll down in. So there's somebody, not just the big machinery, but there's somebody on a shovel who's doing that hard manual labor. One day a big bad rock rolls down, breaks the knee of that employee becomes a preferred worker, is in the program now, can't work down in the ditches anymore. That ditch digger using a shovel can be provided with a backhoe, their own smaller little excavator. Now they could do the work 10 times as productively as they ever did with a shovel. So they're productive, they never have to work on uneven ground, they don't have to be on their feet, they don't have to walk. So that person with a bad knee can do that job. And that modification relates to the injury. The creation just relates to the job. Whatever the job needs is $5,000. Whatever the worker needs because of their injury, if it's the ergonomic saddle or the lift gate for the person having trouble lifting, that relates to their injury. So the insurance, the wages, and the equipment are the powerful benefits to an employer who hire. Ted?
What would you say the lead time is for you to find somebody to work with one of us in this
To hire?
program? Yeah,
Find
to
somebody.
look for somebody, to find somebody, and what do you think the lead time, or how long do we spend trying to get somebody?
Good question. How do you find a preferred worker? How long does it take to
Yeah.
find one?
Yeah,
The program has been running 35 years. There are literally thousands of preferred workers out there in the world, in Oregon, who are in the program for life. Doesn't matter if they got it 35 years ago and now they're 70 years old. If they wanted to work part-time or seasonal or full-time, you can find a lot of these workers just by advertising, just by putting out, using the employment division. Say the iMatch program. Anyone heard of the iMatch program? It is the state of Oregon Employment Division has a computerized database. They call it the iMatch program. You can post your job openings. So when you have another real estate sales position you're looking for, or a finance person, or another material handling position, you can go and post your job openings there and say, also looking for preferred workers. And so preferred workers would see that, they would then call you, so it's a way to find them. But just advertising.
so that would be direct, so you would.
Yep, you could do that in a day.
I see.
You could advertise on the
I see.
internet that way through the employment division.
Okay,
But it does take you, the employer, your effort and time to find them. But if you got, I should have mentioned, adding up all the dollar values of what we've talked about today, just for an average job, full-time, what do you think the total benefits would be? The insurance, the wages, and the equipment? Anyone have an idea, just a guess? Randy?
20 grand.
20 grand? Anyone want to go higher?
49.
Anyone want to go really higher?
Do I hear 35? Do I hear 30? Do I hear 40? Do I hear 40?
150.
Very good, thank you for that. Less than that, about $55,000 is typical. If an employer uses every single one of these benefits, and I didn't talk about all of them. about $55,000 dollar value to that employer for one employee. Now, if they hired 2 or 10, it multiplies that. But to max out, if you were maxing out all the benefits, it would come out to about $55,000. And if it's higher salary or if it's higher risk job, the insurance savings is going to be much higher, and the wage subsidy is going to be much higher. So it really can scale up. So if you have really high-end employers who are doing really high wage, high risk jobs, and you know them and they're not using or never heard of this program, you could really benefit by providing or making a referral onto them so they know and they could check into it and maybe use it. So any questions beyond what you had? You had some really good questions. So thank you so much for attending. I hope to talk to the Vinyl Wrap guys because this might be a great opportunity for them when you grow to hire your first employee. There might be all sorts of great equipment that we could provide your company, but also the insurance and the wage subsidy benefit could help you accelerate the speed at which you can grow your business. So thank you all for your attention.
Thank you.